because I figure it would be good to show somebody what it's like to kind of have your life, your whole career kind of cut short,
Sure.
and then see what it's like dealing with everything, and then how I actually came back from all that stuff. And I've just continued. So I failure isn't in my vocabulary. I always like to keep pushing forward.
Driven by purpose, fueled by passion. My words got power, my thoughts have action. Motivation, stay gracious. That's greatness. Be audacious. Motivation. Be audacious. Innovation. Be audacious. Inspiration. Be bold. Motivation. Be audacious.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I truly appreciate you taking time out of your day to join me on this journey. Our goal on the show is simple, and it's to help you live your best audacious life ever. Now, speaking of your life, I want for a moment, pretend like your life is like a recording studio, and you're the artist, okay? Some days the levels are perfect, the sound is clean, everything flows, and then other days the mic cuts out, the cables crackle, the mix is muddy, and nothing sounds the way you imagined it. You start and stop, re-record, scrap the entire verse, rebuild the track, or remix the whole approach. But here's the beauty in all that mess. You're still the artist. You're still creating. You still have a sound worth sharing with the world. And just like a studio session, life requires resilience when things break down, belief in your dreams even when the track sounds rough, compassion for those working through silent technical issues, and a strong team of producers and engineers and supporters who help you keep going. And that leads us into today's guest. I'm super excited to be joined by hip-hop artist, author, entrepreneur, and incredibly resilient human being, Robert B-Cide Cardillo. For over 20 years, B-Cide carved out a respected career in the underground hip-hop scene. He toured, recorded, collaborated with major underground artists, and built a powerful presence in his lane. But his path changed dramatically when he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, an invisible illness that affects the nervous system and silently impacts daily life. Instead of giving up, B-Cide reinvented himself. He wrote his memoir, Myelin My Shoes. He continues to create music. He launched 55 Strong. It's a clothing line, and he's building a new business venture with his father. So lots going on. His journey is a living example of resilience, of continuing to show up in the studio of life, no matter how many retakes it takes. B-Cide embodies the very heart of audacity. His story speaks to the courage to rebuild when life forces you to remix your entire sound. His journey reminds us that invisible struggles don't silence your purpose, they refine your message. So with all that being said, let's step into the booth and start today's conversation with B-Cide. Enjoy. Hey, Robert, thank you for joining me here today on the Audacious Living Podcast. I appreciate you for making the time to be here, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's great to be able to engage in conversations and to help individuals. I mean, what we do oftentimes is encourage individuals to live their best audacious lives, and so to be able to have a chance to connect with you this way is great. One of the things that on this podcast we very much is getting people to recognize that life is a pathway, right? We're all on our own individual path. We've got our individual situations, circumstances, things that sort of guide our steps, if you will. And
Right.
it's really on us to move past those situations. And, they're going to be tough. They're not going to be easy. They're going to test us in ways that we never thought imagined. And really, it's us to outlast the adversity is something I oftentimes refer to and get past these things. And so, and I think you very much could very speak to that with your own personal journey and struggles and where you're at. So, but what's really nice is that you've now come to the other side and you're looking at to empower individuals, right? Encourage them to
Right.
to get past their adversity, to have the courage, the creativity, the resilience to kind of get to the other side. And so, maybe as a starting point, I would ask you, Robert, just introduce yourself, Mr. B-Cide. AKA Mr. B-Cide. I'd ask you
Yeah,
to introduce yourself to our audience, talk about the work you do and what's got you to the point that you're at now.
sure. My name's B-Side. My real name's Bob. I Robert Cardillo. I is my name, but I go by B-Side. I've been in the underground hip hop genre for the last 20 plus years. I got into it when I was just young in high school with my friends, and we started like a little group, kind of just playing around, and I kind of took it serious after high school and stuff. The Catholic high school, so it wasn't like a public high school or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. But I really took it seriously after high school, and the type of underground music scene that I'm in. Have you ever heard of the Insane Clown Posse before?
Yeah, ICP. Yeah.
Yeah, ICP. Yeah. That is the kind of underground music that I do. So I'm in that whole juggalo genre of music, and that's where I kind of cut my teeth. And that's how I got started. I got involved in it. I actually have going through everything back in I started 2003
Okay.
was my first solo album.
Okay.
That's pretty much like when I count it. So then I started working and started doing more things, and I end up getting a record contract with Universal, and it was an independent label from somebody in California. His name's
Mm-hmm.
DJ King Assassin. He was one of Tupac's producers, and his label, Life or Death Records, was an independent being distributed by a major label.
Gotcha.
And I ended up getting on his label, and I got on 2 tracks on a Christmas album. And then unfortunately the label disbanded before we were able to come up with my album.
Gotcha.
So that was around 2007. 2008, 2009, I end up getting hooked up with this group called Project Born that was the original group signed to ICP's record label, Psychopathic Records, back
Mm-hmm.
in like 95. So I end up going on the road with them. And, we really form a bond. Those are my brothers, and then once I get home, I start noticing that things are going numb. Like
Okay.
this left arm had been going numb for like years, and I just thought it was a pinched nerve. So I had been seeing a chiropractor and stuff
Okay.
like that and trying to get it worked out. But then, nothing would work. I just get number and number in different places until my midsection went numb. And
Okay.
then I'm like, yeah, I think it's time. I got to go see a doctor and get down to the bottom of this. So they gave me an MRI, all that good stuff. I go
Mm-hmm.
see a neurologist. He tells me you have multiple sclerosis.
Wow.
Doesn't really describe what it is. He says, take these shots and you'll be good. But unfortunately, that wasn't really the case. It was about 2 years after I saw that doctor that my father kind of stepped in, and he's like, you're not really getting any better, or it seems like you're getting worse. So
Mm-hmm.
he actually had friends in Rochester, New York,
Okay.
which is about 2 hours away from me.
Okay.
And one of his friends actually has a wing of a hospital named after him at the University of Rochester. So my father is like, we are going to get you hooked up with this hospital. They have a world-renowned MS clinic there. So I end up going there, get my tests. They explain to me what MS is, what I have to look forward to, what my life would be like and things. And they get me on the correct medicine. Now, this medicine stops the progression of it.
Okay.
So it's completely stopped. I haven't gotten any worse than I'm going to get. But unfortunately, like I'm in a wheelchair now, and so what had happened is I go to the doctor. She shows me the MRIs and stuff that she did the tests from Rochester. It's like 4K
Okay.
full HD. In Utica, where I'm from, it's like a 1950s TV. The medicine quality is just it's crazy when you go to a bigger city and with people that know more about the disease that you
Hmm.
have. So
Jeez.
basically, in 2011, everything kind of got cut short with my music and stuff.
Okay.
And that's kind of what happened with the MS. It kind of left me like I was touring, I was doing shows, the
Hmm.
whole nine, what I was trying to do to, be a rapper and
Sure.
try and make money off it. And it just kind of cut me down, and I was in a really bad relationship. I had a 10-year relationship with my then fiance, and it was kind of like bad at the end. So it really wasn't like good for my mental health either.
Mhm.
So well, she ends up breaking up with me and says she can't deal with me anymore and can't deal with the MS, stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. That's fine. We can break it off. And then I moved in with my mom, and then I ended up having to go in this wheelchair, you know, and my mom, she's like my rock. She's
Right.
definitely there for me and
Hmm.
everything. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
I mean, well, thanks for sharing your story first and foremost. I mean,
Yeah,
that certainly wasn't an easy journey. Um,
yeah.
I want us to continue the story because I do think that's not where your story ended. That's not where your story ended, right? Like, yes,
No.
right. There's more that came out. So what happened that you moved yourself past that situation? Because obviously that was a low point for you, right, in that moment, and
Right, right,
but you still
right.
persevered. What
Really.
happened next?
Yeah, well, what happened is I ended up moving in with my mom. My mom's really like, you need to get yourself out of this funk. You're gonna kill yourself if you keep, thinking negatively about everything.
Hmm.
So my mom is like that kind of person that thinks about the bright side of everything. She looks at everything a glass half full instead of empty,
Sure.
and I'm more of like a glass half empty kind of person. So she's like, you need to kind of like get yourself away from that, start looking at things more positively. And then we had moved into this new place in Utica, New York, and it's all like set up for me with like the ramp and all the doorways and everything's good. And so I'm moving in, I moved in, and we're all, me and my mom have been talking. She keeps me on this whole positive journey. And I come to a point where I just had been like kicking around an idea of writing a book.
Okay.
And what happened is I end up getting this idea for writing this book, just like kind of a memoir, because I figure it would be good to show somebody what it's like to kind of have your life, your whole career kind of cut short,
Sure.
and then see what it's like dealing with everything, and then how I actually came back from all that stuff. And I've just continued. So I failure isn't in my vocabulary. I always like to keep pushing forward.
I
So
love it.
this book came about, and I started doing this book. I actually got involved with Chat GPT. Chat GPT helped me edit the whole book, so I was able to have like an edited product
Hmm.
and get it out to like Amazon or what have you. So I've been promoting the book like I've been promoting like how I promote music.
Hmm.
So that's a little something different, I guess, than how people promote books, is from what I'm told. And then I'm actually working on an album about multiple sclerosis
Okay.
that's going
Okay.
to be coming out in March of 2026.
Okay.
And I'm working on an album about marijuana
Okay.
for a channel on YouTube that's going to come out in October.
Okay.
And then me and this other artist that's on my conglomerate, that's on my label, his name's YC Rocks. We're gonna have a project that's gonna drop in between those two. So
Gotcha.
I like try and keep myself busy because that's like the only time I'm not in pain.
Mm. I find it really,
Yeah,
I love the idea of sort of going back to your roots, right? That thing that
yeah,
charges you. Like I oftentimes talk about in life being like a series of hills and valleys, right? There's ups and there's the downs, and the
absolutely.
ups things are great, the downs things aren't as good, and so as life is a continuum, right? You're up here, and all of a sudden, yeah, things aren't going well. You start to, some negative stuff, some bad stuff, not so good stuff, and you're in this place. Now, what helps you get out of that place is those things that charge and inspire you and get you excited. So you could be going through something horrific, something terrible, but yet you can still find happiness because you're finding these things that get you excited. And so, it's about
Right,
accumulating those things, staying in that space, being as close to those things as you possibly can. And it's not going to make the bad things go away, but it'll elevate your overall mood. And so if it's hip hop music for you, then that's kind of what it is. And I guess
right.
I guess being a hip hop guy myself back in the '90s, I was that was my thing. I can relate to
Yeah,
how much the music can be uplifting and inspiring. When I was a young kid, it provided something for me, right? It helped me figure out my place in the world, my identity. It gave me my voice. It let me
right.
it let me, although I didn't know it at the time because I didn't have this language at the time, but it gave me permission to be audacious back then. I didn't know it,
Yes.
but I absolutely was. And so that's what the music. So when you talk about the music does for you, I certainly can relate to that. Um, so it's kind of on the music for a second here because I'm very curious. When you're an artist, you were on that grind, the underground scene, what 25 plus years. What did that
Yeah.
teach you about perseverance and success?
I think that it's like when I was young, I always thought that success was going to be fame or something along those
Mm,
lines.
right.
But excuse me. But success to me is more those moments when there's people that message me, or back in the day when they used to send letters to my PO box and they're like, "Oh, this song did something for me. This
Right.
did that for me, or this has done this." And it's just like, honestly, like, I haven't made money off it, and it's just I put more money into it than I've ever made off it,
Hmm.
and I do it because I love it, and it's something that's like deep within me that won't let me stop. It's just always there, and it doesn't matter if one person listens to it. If I could change one person, if I can make somebody think positive or something along those lines, that's all that matters.
Yeah, no, it totally does, and again, that really speaks to the passion and loving what you do, because it
Yeah,
also it also fuels you, right? It gives you that motivation and it gets you excited and you enjoy it. I would also imagine too that it helped with the sort of finding your voice and from a self-expression standpoint, because here you are, you're doing your music thing, you've got your voice, and someone turns and goes, "Man, that was powerful. Thank you." Right? Like the
yeah.
idea of us being our authentic selves and it can have an impact on others is just a powerful thing.
Yeah, it really is. I think about it where when I write something, it has like a certain meaning to me,
Hmm.
but I guess once it actually gets released, it doesn't mean the same thing that it used to mean because everybody has a different meaning for songs.
Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't like to tell people what things are necessarily about because you can make your own your own judgment over what it's about. So if you can make it about something personal and make it to your life, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if you could share kind of some of the sort of toughest battles, personally or sort of maybe even creatively, that you had to go through when you stopped touring and you second. Oops, sorry. That light went.
Yep. All good.
Yeah, so I wonder if you could maybe talk or share about maybe some of the toughest battles that you had to experience or endure. When you after you stop performing on stage and you go from being on stage, performing in front of crowds, being excited, charged, and now requiring kind of 24-hour care. What
Yeah.
was that like for you?
That was definitely a pretty low point because because there was a time like when it was just when the MS was first had gotten diagnosed,
Hmm.
and somebody was trying to get me to go on like a tour with them for around America. And I'm like, dude, I can't do it. I'm like, this isn't, I'm not able to do this. And it absolutely killed me to have to turn it down. And yeah, but I had to turn it down and just be like, unfortunately, my body can't do it, you
Right.
know, and he was saying to me, "Oh, you sure, can't you just, and it's unfortunate. No, I just can't like will myself to do it. If I could will myself to do it, I'd be able to will myself to do everything. But that was something that was really tough for me. And I would say there was, yeah, it was definitely like being able to lose shows and the ability to like actually go out and do like hand to hand physical promotion with people too.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I could see that. And I guess, especially when you're in your space, right? You're in your element, doing your
right,
thing. I mean, to not
right.
have that, I get it, man. It's got to be tough. It's got to be tough.
Yeah.
You mentioned the book. Give us the book title, please.
The book title is Myelin My Shoes, and it's spelled Myelin. And
Okay.
what myelin is it's the sheath around your nerves
Hmm.
that the multiple sclerosis actually eats away at.
Okay.
So that's where I got the title from.
Mile in my shoes. And what's the my shoes part? Oh, my.
It
Oh, I get a mile in my
Yeah,
shoes.
Myelin
Gotcha.
My Shoes. Yep, you
Gotcha.
got it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that really speaks to you telling your story, right? For
Yes.
what you went through. Um,
Yes.
you're really honest and raw with it in terms of what you told. Uh, why was that so important for you that you kept it real and didn't sugarcoat things?
Right. Well, I think there's too much like medical sugar coated stuff that's out there for people that have like chronic illness or anything like that. And I kind of wanted to show people like I'm just a normal dude.
Mhm.
And it unfortunately struck me down in my prime. And I kind of wanted to tell people what had happened, where I was before,
Mhm.
where I'm at now, and what I'm trying to do after. Like I'm not letting the MS stop me. I still have plans for other stuff.
Got you. How do you balance that, like the illness and the MS with the other stuff and the big creative goals and stuff you want to do? How do you balance it?
Truthfully, I don't even know, man. It's all mixed up in my head. I really couldn't even tell you.
I love it. Just
Yeah.
day by day, just take it as it comes.
Yes, day by day. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Are there any kind of misconceptions that people have about life with MS, that they may not be fully aware of or understand?
Yeah, I think that some people don't realize that it's definitely an invisible illness. And there's
Mm.
people that have MS that are walking around and they look perfectly fine, but they're not fine. and they might have like their speech gets affected. They
Right.
might have some numbness somewhere that you'd never know, and unless they tell you, you would never know. So not everybody that has an illness that's invisible is in a wheelchair,
Mm,
unfortunately. So
mm,
I guess that's where you have to look at people and kind of treat everybody good, you know? If we could just treat everybody nicely, then it would be a great world, you know?
yeah. We never know what people are
Yeah.
going through. That's the whole idea. We don't know what people are ever going through, right?
Right, right.
And I'm sure our attitude, if we knew someone was dealing with something, that compassion would be there, that kindness would be there because of what we, what they're exhibiting or feeling and dealing with. And so, I think we should. It's the world certainly would be a better place. No question about that, right? If we just
Yep.
extend kindness and compassion as much as we possibly can.
Absolutely. You got it.
I got to tell you, B-Cide, you're a real humble guy. You got a clothing brand you haven't mentioned, so I'm going to put it out there.
Oh
55
yeah.
strong. That was part of your, I don't know, reinvention, if you will, or you talk about creative goals.
Yes.
That was one of them. Tell us about the clothing brand and what that's all about. Where the idea came
Yeah,
from.
well, 55 Strong actually came about from an ICP lyric in one of their old songs. Violent J says, "Now I'm in a street gang, 55 strong." Everybody's singing that Southwest song. So I took out the 55 strong and I'm like, oh man, this could mean power. This could mean strength, you know? So I took out the 55 strong, turned it into like the whole record label deal, and then I wanted to turn it into like a clothing thing. So it's kind of like a streetwear deal.
Mm,
Like right now, I'm wearing I don't even know if you can see this because it's like kind of cut down.
a little
But
bit. Yeah.
here's one of the shirts.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
got Scrooge McDuck on it. You know,
Okay.
it's one of the boot Scrooge McDuck with a pile of money on it. And but then like we'll take ideas, like there's some like clown ideas, a lot of stuff inspired from ICP.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, yeah.
It's clear that your creativity, and I mean we know that hip hop and rap is very a creative and expressive art form, so it's very clear that it's played a role. Would you say it's integral in kind of keeping your spirits alive, especially on difficult days?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I really don't listen to much else. And the only thing that I really listen to, which will blow your mind, is Green Day.
Okay,
Of all
okay,
the stuff.
okay, okay.
They were my first love. I heard them in 1994, fell in love with them, and I have been listening to them ever since and will never stop, you know? So, but then like hip hop, like I listen to a wide variety. Like I'll listen to ICP, but I listen to like Tech Nine, Master P, C Murder, all the No Limit stuff, you know,
Yeah,
like David Banner, a lot of down south stuff.
gotcha.
You know, I'm really not an East Coast guy. I kind of got into like Wu-Tang when I was watching the show on what was it, on Stars or something?
Oh, power.
The Power, yeah, yeah. That's kind of like when I started getting into it.
Yeah.
So I was a little older when I started getting into Wu-Tang, but yeah.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Curious. If you were to give advice to artists or entrepreneurs who kind of feel like life has kind of knocked them off their path, given your experiences, what you've gone through, and what you've had to overcome, what would you tell them?
I would say never stop, because you never want to die and think, what if? I never want to be on my deathbed and go, well, what if I was a rapper? What if I started this clothing line? What if I did this? What if I did that? I don't want to have any what ifs. I want to have things happen. I want to see things materialize. And uh there's something that I said in one of my songs. The only way to separate the good from the great is to see who's around after the toll time takes.
Hmm.
So the only way that you will see greatness is if you don't quit.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Outlast adversity.
Yes.
Keep pushing past. And I love that. I love that. And I think there's much to be said about that. Oftentimes I'll ask guests, if they were to, if I were to tell them, what does living audaciously mean? What would you tell me actually? If I ask you, what does living audaciously mean? What does that mean to you?
Completely unfiltered and somebody that just it does things their own way.
I love it. I love it. No, I listen.
Yeah.
I think your story is a powerful one. Obviously, I can connect with you, especially on sort of what the music and the genre means, and in terms of from a self expression standpoint and empowerment. And like I said, man, when I was a young kid, it gave me guidance, right? And I looked to that as my.
Right.
I used to tell people like back in the day, I treated these artists, the Big Daddy Kanes in the world and the KRS Ones and the Method Man. I used to treat them like those guys were like, you ever go like a family barbecue and you got that uncle in the corner that's kind of letting you in on the secrets of life. Go, hey, come here.
Yeah.
Your parents are gonna tell you this, but
Yeah.
let me tell you something, right? That's how you. That's how
Right.
I treated the music and the art form. So these guys, these artists, they were my aunts and my uncles that taught me stuff, right, and showed me the world that my
Right.
parents didn't want to tell me. And so I know how much it means. I mean, that's sort of what it means to me. So I can understand fully when you talk about what it's done for you and helped you. So looking ahead, when you think about the impact that you want to have or the hope that you want your story to have and leave on audiences, what does that look like?
Well, I'm actually planning on starting a business with my father.
Okay.
And my father's been in the political realm of things for the last 50 to 55 years, back when people in Washington used to get along with each other. So, what we are going to do is we are going to come up with a course that's going to teach businesses that politics equals profits.
Okay.
And that if you understand how politics works for your business, that it will save you money in the long run.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I
Yeah,
love it.
so that's something that we are going to be doing, and I think 2026, yeah, we'll be starting that.
That must be special to be doing it with your father.
Yeah, yeah,
Amazing.
definitely.
Amazing. Amazing. Man, B-Side, like this has been so mad cool. I love the story, and I love just the just keep firing ahead and don't stop kind of a thing. So I appreciate that. For listeners that wanted to kind of connect with you or learn more about your work or get your book, or where is it that we could send them?
Best place to go is b-cide.com. And
Got
you
you.
can get everything. You can find my music, my book, everything.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, and what we'll
Yeah.
do is we'll make sure that all those contact details are in the show notes below. Before we get out of here, I'd love to play a quick little rapid fire game with you if you don't mind. How do you feel about that?
Sure.
I mean, since we're a couple of hip hop cats, how about a little game of this and that of '90s groups that were back into doing their thing? You up for that?
All right. Yeah, let's see.
Okay. How about this? Wu Tang or Bone Thugs and Harmony?
Ooh, Bone Thugs.
All right, all right. De La Soul or Tribe Called Quest?
Oh, De La Soul.
All right. Outcast or Fugees?
Oh, man, that's tough, but Outcast, I gotta go with.
All right, all right. Naughty by Nature or House of Pain?
Naughty by Nature.
All right. Onyx or Mob Deep?
Oh, Mob Deep.
Public Enemy or NWA?
NWA.
Cypress Hill or The Roots?
Cypress Hill.
Last one, last one, last one.
Yeah.
Digital Underground or Arrested Development?
Oh, man. Digital Underground. Ah,
You can go either way with a lot of those ones, right? They're tough. They're not
Yes.
easy.
Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. That is crazy. Yeah, they could go any way.
For sure, for sure. Well, listen, B-Side, this has been awesome. I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you having some fun. But more importantly, congratulations on the incredible journey. Again, are inspiring people on levels you don't realize. In some instances, you hear from people directly, others you don't know. But I just love the intentionality. Continue to fight through your circumstances. Continue to be a shining example, and continue to uplift others. And so, for all that, I say congratulations. And again, I thank you for being a guest on the Audacious Living Podcast.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. You've been a great host.
Awesome. Back we are here on the podcast, and what an incredible conversation with B-Side. The biggest takeaway for me was his resilience, and it's really about showing up for yourself, even when the track is distorted, the mix feels off, and the studio lights are flickering. B-Side reminds us that our dreams don't disappear when life gets loud or messy. We simply find new ways to create. His honesty about MS, his passion for music, his commitment to staying active creatively, and his refusal to quit speak volumes about what it means to be audacious. What I love most personally about this conversation was, aside from his hip hop knowledge of old school hip hop, B-Side's transparency. He didn't hide his struggle. He didn't sugarcoat the pain. He didn't pretend like every session in the life has been smooth. Yet every time he spoke, there was this unmistakable spark, a belief in purpose, a belief in creativity, and a belief in pushing forward. I loved how he talked about connecting with people through his music, not for fame, but because someone might hear a lyric that helps them through their own darkness. And it's a beautiful thing. And the way he found hope in writing his book and leaned into the very art form that once gave him life on the stage. And it reminded me that audacity, it's not loud. Sometimes it's that quiet courage of an artist who refuses to stop recording, and that's exactly what he did. If you want to connect with B-Side directly, explore his music, read his book, or even check out his clothing line, we got you all covered. His website is b-side.com. All the contact details will be there, and of course, we've got them in the show notes. So if you head down the show notes, you can click on the link to go right to his website, and that way you're connected to all the great things he has going on in his world. Now, as we close out this particular episode, I want you to remember this. Life will always bring technical glitches. There's going to be distortion, bad takes. There'll be days you feel offbeat, but you still get to choose your sound. You still get to adjust your levels. You still get to step back into the booth and record something meaningful. And with resilience, compassion, and a strong community behind you, you can create a life that hits all the right notes, no matter what challenges try to silence you. And it's really important that you bear that in mind. And I want to thank you for tuning in to the Audacious Living Podcast. If today's conversation inspired you, taught you something, or gave you a spark of audacity, do me a favor. Like, follow, or share this podcast with someone who needs it. If you haven't already done so, of course, your support helps this podcast grow and continue to reach even more people who are ready to live boldly. Until next time, live life audaciously.
Driven by purpose, fueled by passion. My words got power, my thoughts have action. Motivation, stay gracious. That's greatness. Be audacious.